Welcome to a fun-filled edition of Bears Football Monday right here on Second City Sports. We're live in living color right here on Sports Zone Chicago, along with Miss Lakeena McGee, which is she. I am Cindy Brown. Hey, that's me. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter and the IG at CK80. Once again, at CK80, that's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80.
You can find me at Lakeena McGee on the Twitter and at Lakeena McGee on the IG.
Make sure you download the Sports Zone Chicago app today. You want to know why? Because we said so, that's why. And also, you can catch up on other 5 live shows throughout the week. So you happen to miss them, you can go back and watch them and listen to them at your own leisure. Make sure you download that Sports Zone Chicago app today. Make sure you also follow Sports Zone Chicago on all social media platforms on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. You can catch our podcast at War or Anchor. We're available on all podcast platforms, including the iHeartRadio app. And make sure you follow War Media at WARR Media on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. And thank you very much in advance for your support.
Like, share, subscribe, and tell your friends.
We are unapologetically fun, and we have very different opinions. You have any different opinions during our 2-hour extravaganza we call a Sports Talk Radio Show, you can always hit us up at Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Type in your questions or comments in the comments section. Lakeena will get them up on the screen for you. But if you decide to troll, indoors, do something stupid, I give Lakeena full power to give you fools to build their beer boot.
Bye-bye.
Hello, when she says that. But before we begin, we must remind you that you can also catch Sports Zone Chicago on Roku TV. That's right. You celebrate with the squad and get with the program. Sports Zone Chicago is now on Roku TV. If you already have a Roku TV, just tap on the sports folder and download Sports Zone Chicago app through that avenue. If you don't have a Roku TV, you have a bunch of handheld devices laying around, your iPad, iTouch, iPhone, your Chromebook, or your laptop, your personal PC. Just download the Roku TV app and access Sports Zone Chicago through that avenue. So no more excuses. Celebrate with the squad and get with the program. Sports Zone Chicago is now on Roku TV, available for you live and on demand 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and 365 days a year.
Against a 4-man rush. He's flushed. He takes off. There's a flag down and Fields somehow. 3rd down and 9. Quick throw. Patterson gets blown up, and it was Kyler Gordon again. Flip it to him here on 3rd and short. Spins his way for a 1st down. They do so again. Mariota lets it fly. That is incomplete.
Personal foul. Roughing the passer. Defense number 6.
And you want to see some tempers flare. He's stumbling all the way in. You can see it's down low. It's not forcible, to your point.
Finds Claypool and has a 1st down. Fake to Montgomery. Throw for Komet. 1st down for the Bears. It's 2 plays. 3rd and long here. He'll look to throw. He's given time. Fields scrambles. Keeps it alive. Magic from Fields. Justin Fields finds St. Brown. 1st down. Montgomery found room and found the end zone. Patient running and a touchdown makes it a 1-point game.
And we want to thank Fox Sports for those highlights there. That was Joe Davis on the call with Daryl Booth Johnson. Now, Sid, this Bears Atlanta, we thought it was going to be a scoring fest. We talked about it with our girl at KXRB's Christine Manica. For this game yesterday, we thought it was going to be I thought it was going to be like 1st to 30. I mean, it was almost close to like 1st to 30 would win. We almost had it. It was 27-24 loss to Atlanta on a Yahuku go-ahead field goal with just a few seconds left. It was kind of a back and forth game, but then Fields got banged up and everything else started transpiring. So what did you think? Because we, Christine and I, we've been talking about this for weeks. We all thought that, all this, with Fields running and everything else, there were a couple of times where he slid and he didn't slid right. And it was just there was some, questionable calls. I know some Bears fans were kind of getting on that, but it really felt like once, especially that last play where they could have set up for a game time field goal. Some of the play calling there was just, terrible. What did you think? Because I know you got a chance to watch the game.
Yeah, it was a tale of 2 halves. The defense for the Bears actually showed up yesterday, Lakeena. Go figure that. They created a turnover. The special teams created the other turnover. It was 2 fumbles by the Falcons. And the Bears just about capitalized on every single one of them. Justin Fields was running the ball very well. He was actually passing the ball very well. Very well, and he had a touchdown pass to Darnell Mooney. And Cole Kmet, he had one heck of a catch. I'm not going to say it's a catch of the year. Justin Jefferson has that title from last week and that win at Buffalo. But Cole Kmet is really starting to show up. Like what I saw from him. Justin Fields, it was a tale of two halves for him too. He was starting to slide sort of properly, and when he got a chance to get out of bounds, he got out of bounds without doing all that extra fighting for extra yards and whatnot. But then the second half, the Bears defense got exposed. Atlanta started operating the way they've been operating on offense all year. Marcus Mariota turned on the juice. They really didn't have much of a running game. I'm talking about Atlanta, but it showed up somehow in the second half, especially down the stretch. Lakeena, we said this all year. We'll say it again. This is an example of a young team growing up and going through growing pains, trying to learn how to win in this league. And the Bears had that opportunities yesterday. That should have been a win again. I know Justin Fields' injury showed, as you mentioned, it was on a freakish play. It wasn't really on the slide. He was just trying to escape and trying to make a play. And I thought that was a bad pass by him. David Montgomery couldn't jump up high enough to catch that pass. That was just a bad throw by Fields. But without that being said, the Bears defense, they gave up 27 points, but they took a big step back in the second half.
Yeah, they really did. That Cordero Patterson, like 101 yards. That was the official 101-yard punt return for a touchdown. I mean, that was like their first one in like 12 years. I'm talking about Atlanta. So that was, you can tell that he really wanted this, sort of like a revenge game for him. I think that was.
You talked about it on Friday.
We said like I said, it was going to be a revenge, game. He got a kickoff return for a touchdown. He did have an early fumble that the Bears were able to capitalize. Couldn't capitalize on that, but. He made up for it with that kickoff. Yeah, that was a kick. What it was a kickoff return for the
kickoff
touchdown.
Return.
Kickoff for the TD, which is what their first 12 years. So yeah, he kind of picked it up there. I mean, look, Mariota, only one touchdown pass and such. He also had a rushing touchdown. So I think that Kyle Pitts was limited. He has a sprained ACL, so he's going to be gone for probably the rest of the year. So that's a big blow to Atlanta in that offense, because especially since they're right there in the NFC South, to win that division. So that's a big loss for them. But unfortunately they couldn't sack Mariota. He wasn't sacked. He was not sacked. Meanwhile, Fields was sacked 4 times. 4 times. And we talked about the much maligned Atlanta defense. Look, Jalen Hawkins had that game clinching interception. He was right there, and they, like I said, they sacked Fields 4 times. So unfortunately, that O-line for the Bears made the Atlanta defense actually look pretty decent. So, and look, we'll see. I mean, we don't know what the extent of Fields' injured left shoulder. So they're kind of keeping close to the vest right now, but they are sort of wondering. Maybe they could be getting ready for Trevor Siemian for this game against New York, the Jets on Sunday. So I don't know. It's going to be something to look out for.
You listen to Second City Sports. We're live in living color on the Monday edition right here on Sports Zone Chicago. I'm Sid. That's Lakeena. You have any thoughts about yesterday's Bears loss to the Atlanta Falcons 27-24? You can hit us up on the comments section at Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Type in your questions or comments in the comments section. Lakeena will get them up on the screen for you. Taking a look at some of the numbers from the Bears from yesterday's loss. Justin Fields, 14-21, 153 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, with a quarterback rating of 84. Justin Fields also had a rushing touchdown off of 18 carries for 85 yards. David Montgomery, 17 carries for 67 yards and a touchdown in the fourth quarter. And Travis Ebner, who subbed in for the injured Khalil Herbert, 6 carries for 8 yards. In the receiving department, David Montgomery, 3 catches for 54 yards. Cole Kmet, 3 for 35. And Darnell Mooney, 4 for 29, including a first quarter touchdown.
Yeah, a lot of fumbles in this game, too, on both sides. 7 total, of course. We all saw, Patterson's fumble, and the Bears had a couple of fumbles, too. So that kind of, didn't really help them too much, too, either. But I feel like this Bears team, I think everything else is everyone's saying, let's go ahead, let them go ahead and tank. Get that, top 5 pick or whatever. So, show some progress, but then, lose. They've shown a little bit of progress, but I think a couple of steps back. If Fields getting hurt, the O-line showing itself again, and defense not making the stops. They didn't make some stops, but they didn't really make the stops that they needed to in order to seal that win for the Bears.
Also, too, it was nice to see Velus Jones again, Lakeena, for the first time in a couple of weeks. He had that 55-yard kickoff return in the first quarter. It was nice to see that again. I know Cordell Patterson had his version in which he went to the house, but it was nice to see Velus Jones again. Hopefully, he can get his confidence back up, and Matt Eberflus can trust him. I know he's a rookie and all, but hopefully he can get his act together, and we'll see some more reps from him on the field.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, this is one of the things why you drafted to kind of get that reps and such. He's 25, so showing that little bit of experience there. So, like, again, as long as he don't make mistakes, and we might be seeing more of him, especially since Herbert's going to be out for a while. Now, look, this whole thing with the Bears and the Falcons. I mean, it was good for what it was. I mean, we all thought that maybe the Bears were going to try to win. I know I picked the Falcons, but I thought maybe the Bears would pull it out. They didn't. So you're kind of back to square one, and who knows how long Fields is going to be out. So I honestly like this kind of felt. I know everybody wants to do moral victories and stuff, but I think in this case it really isn't really a moral victory.
Yeah, the last couple of games are not moral victories, Lakeena. Even if you're a bad team, if you're are better than the other team across from you, you should be able to get the job done. It didn't happen last week against Detroit, and it didn't happen again against Atlanta yesterday. Even though Atlanta's a little bit better team than Detroit, you had your chances to win the game, and they didn't take advantage. So, like I said, this is growing pains of a team that's rebuilding, and we just had to go through it now. As far as Justin Fields' injury is concerned, he's severely injured enough that he cannot play. I'm not going to say shut him down for the rest of the year, but let that shoulder or wherever it is heal properly, and maybe he can play in the last couple of games of the season. I know Bears fans would say, well, we're not going to the playoffs anyway, so you should just shut him down. He still wants to play, and if and when he's healthy enough to play, whether it's this weekend or whenever, you should let him play. I know fans want that high draft pick, but is it really worth it? Really?
Well, and also too, I mean, he was already banged up. We could tell that. I know he said it was cramps. I'm sure it was very dry inside that stadium. But you could tell he was dealing with cramps. He was now dealing with a shoulder injury. Look, Christy and I have been saying this for the longest. We don't want this guy to get hurt, especially for the longevity of it. So, especially when these guys hit now and such, you want to preserve him for, especially if you're going to build around him. So, if you have to sit him for the rest of the year, you got about 5 games left. If you want to,
a little bit more than that,
maybe 7, maybe like 8 or 7 or 8 games left. I mean, if you want to sit him for a few weeks, I mean, I'm not gonna scream too much about it because I feel like for the long term, you want to think about that, especially for his health. So if you have to sit him for a few weeks, so be it.
Yeah, I will say this, outside of Justin Fields, some of the other players that haven't got a chance to play, this is their time to do it, Lakeena. They're 3-8 right now, and we know that this team wasn't a playoff team. They're not a playoff team now, so if head coach Matt Eberflus wants to get a look at some different guys that haven't gotten a chance to play yet, let them play. This is their time to do it. It doesn't matter who the opponent is, so they need the reps. Like I said, this is a rebuilding year. You need player evaluations. The only way you could probably evaluate these players is to have them in game action. Yes, there's so much they could do in practice and in the film room, but you can't get any live reps until you get live reps on the field. And so that's what the season was about, and this is what the season continues to be about until it ends in early January at this point.
All right, now we're up against you, listeners. I can see Sports on Chicago, Lakeena McGee, Sydney Brown. With you, we could probably just do maybe one game from the NFL Week 12 slate, before we go to break. Let's go to Baltimore and Carolina. I know some people were kind of wondering like what went on in this game. Like it was no. I think Baltimore was like 3-0 at halftime. I think there's sort of a case of they were probably playing down their competition because they were coming off a bye. They know that the Panthers aren't very good. Lamar Jackson threw for 209 yards, had an interception, but he did have a rushing touchdown. They did have the defense did have a couple of interceptions, including Marcus Peters, when they kind of sealed the win for them. So the Warriors are 7-3, and they've got a solid schedule where they can kind of pull and run away from the division, run away with the division, I should say.
Yeah, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, Lakeena. Baltimore has the chance to have a stranglehold on this AFC North division with Cincinnati trailing. Then we'll get to Cincinnati, what they did against Pittsburgh on the flip side of this break. But Baltimore remember injuries, especially to their quarterback Lamar Jackson, was what the rail did for not getting to the playoffs last year. So far this year, looks like the defense has been okay. Yesterday's game, their defense was great, and Baker Mayfield did not look hot. But Demarcus Robinson, on the flip side for the Baltimore's offense, he had 9 catches for 128 yards. Kenyon Drake had 10 carries for 46. They did just enough to win. Like I think they did play down to that competition a little bit. Lamar Jackson didn't look like himself. You have to give the Carolina defense a little credit for that, but Baltimore did just enough to pull out the win at home.
Yeah, Jason Pierre-Paul and Marlon Humphrey had those 2 interceptions for Baltimore, including Humphreys that sealed the win. But yeah, I think Lamar Jackson was coming off getting off a cold, so that's probably why he didn't really look his best yesterday. So that might have played a little bit of a part of me. I mean, yeah, the defense for the Panthers did it okay, but I think it was more he was just getting over a cold. Talking about Jackson, so I think that's probably why you didn't see too much of the Lamar Jackson that we usually used to seeing. But look, they were able to get the win, and you take the win. You're 7-3, and look, you're set up so that you can probably go and run away with that division. Like I said.
Yep. We'll have more of the Week 11 NFL action coming up. And next hour, we'll get into the Chicago Bulls and possible controversy. And we'll have college football talk as well, along with some of the other fun things we like to do on the show for Monday. More Week 11 NFL recap action next. I'm Sid. That's Lakeena. You're listening to the Monday edition of Second 70 Sports. We're live in the living color right here on Sports Zone Chicago.
This year, my mom got me the perfect bag for back to school.
These colorful binders help me stay organized.
These headphones are just what I need for studying.
These new sneakers are just what I need for the new year.
This jacket is a real must-have.
My parents got me the skateboard I wanted. It's pretty cool.
These scissors really come in handy in art class.
These colored pencils, too. These new socks, they can be a real lifesaver.
I finally got my own phone to stay in touch with my mom.
Trisha's having a sleepover tonight. Can I go?
I wonder about Lucy's friends. What should I say? I know you're only 10, but one of these days a friend will offer you a drink. And alcohol at your age can lead to so many things. None of them good.
So can I go to the sleepover?
Lucy, I want you to promise me
I
something.
finished my homework.
Bigger promise. If there's any drinking, I want you to say, "No thanks, not my thing."
Mom.
I promise you. Your real friends won't care. Deal?
Sure.
Really?
I promise, Mom.
They really do hear you.
Did you pack your toothbrush?
For tips on how to start the talk, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov. A public service message from the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration.
Hey, this is Dr. J, and I listen to Sean and Maya in the morning.
You jammed that music all day. Welcome back to Second City Sports on the Monday edition. We're live in living color right here on Sports Zone Chicago. I'm Sid. That's Lakeena. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, it's SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. SIDKID80.
You can follow me at Keenan McGee on the Twitter and at Keenan McGee on the IG.
If you want to get at us via the comment section, you can go to Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Type in your questions or comments in the comments section. Lakeena will get them up on the screen for you. Continue with our recap from Week 11 in the NFL action from yesterday. The Buffalo Bills defeated the Cleveland Browns, which this game was moved to Detroit following a huge snowstorm. The Bills get it done. 31-23 over Cleveland. Jacoby Brissett, 28-41, 324 yards and 3 touchdowns for the Browns. Devin Singletary, looking at this, is not a typo. Devin Singletary for the Bills, 18 carries, 86 yards and a touchdown. Yay! That means Josh Allen did not lead the team in rushing. And Amari Cooper for Cleveland, 8 catches, 113 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, it's sort of interesting that this whole game, you can kind of tell that the nerves kind of got to Buffalo a little bit because they're basically playing in neutral field. They're playing in a different part, with Detroit, but it did feel like a home game because a lot of those Bills fans, gobbled up a lot of those tickets. So that was, interesting. I know Cleveland, I know I got a friend who lives in Cleveland. He wasn't very happy that, Browns fans to get a chance, even though the distance is a little bit, further, but closer. But, it is what it is with that. Now, as for Buffalo, I thought there was a little bit. Look, Buffalo just enough to win that game. I know that the Browns scored a couple of garbage TDs late, but that game was kind of already out of reach. So
let's go to Indianapolis, where we almost had an upset take place, but the Philadelphia Eagles come from behind to defeat the Indianapolis Colts, ruining the home debut of new Colts head coach Jeff Saturday. 17-16, Jalen Hurts scored the game-winning touchdown with 2.5 minutes left. Matt Ryan for Indianapolis, 23-32, 213 yards. Speaking of Jalen Hurts, he had 16 carries, 86 yards in that game-winning touchdown. And Devontae Smith for the Eagles, 6 catches for 78 yards.
Yeah, the defense, for the Eagles did just enough to try to kind of stay up, especially as it got, later in the game. This is actually the first time that the Eagles have won trailing by 10 plus points in the fourth since, 2010 when they, when they beat the Giants. That game ended with a Deshaun Jackson's walk-off punt return for a TD, guys, if you remember that. The Eagles had lost 41 straight since. They had lost 41 straight, prior to that. So, and sort of exercising those demons there. Now the Colts, they had their chance to kind of put the game away. They weren't able to do it. They weren't get their offense to kind of reach down the field. The defense for Philly, did just enough to try to kind of like stave off the Colts and give their offense a shot, and they were able to do just that.
To New England and Foxborough we go next, where the New England Patriots got a game-winning touchdown from Marcus Jones via the punt return as the Patriots improve their record to 6-4 and take over second place away from the New York Jets in the AFC East by defeating the New Yorkers 10-3. Mac Jones, 23-27, 246 yards passing. Damian Harris, I should say, had 8 carries for 65 yards, and Ramondre Stevenson has 6 catches for 56 yards. I did get a chance to watch some of this game via this computer screen, Lakeena. It was ugly from the word go. If you like defense, this was the game for you. I know this had your type of special, pre-1980s football. The Patriots on special teams get it done at the end.
Yeah, it was sort of one of those games where you're just like, okay, is someone going to score here? And it just did just enough. I know Zach Wilson had his struggles. He was sacked 4 times. Mac Jones was sacked 6 times. So both the defenses did their job. But unfortunately, it was the special teams. I know Mike Greenberg was not very happy with his Jets, special teams. You had one job. You could have just tackled the guy, deep in the territory, and that could have forced them into overtime because they had about only 25 seconds left or something like that. So I don't know. It's the second latest go ahead punt return for a TD in the final minutes is, of course, Deshaun Jackson, that 2010 Eagles Giants game. Miracle at the Meadowlands too. They called that one. So yeah, if you're the Jets, you're going to be smarting over this loss. You had your shot to try to beat them. You did, and you're going to be smarting over this one. Jets special teams.
Yeah, everybody thought that this would be the time for the Jets to take that next step. I told you on Friday, this is not it. Zach Wilson did not have a good game, and I said that the New England would find a way to rattle him and pull out the victory. They did just that, so you had to give Bill Belichick, as we call him on this show, Bill Belichick, credit for that. He didn't have to cheat yesterday, so the Jets did themselves in with a bunch of mistakes. They had just as many completions as they did punts yesterday. You're not going to win too many games in this league doing that. To the Bayou we go next, where the New Orleans Saints, he got a 27-20 win over the Los Angeles Rams. Andy Dalton, 21-25, 260 yards and 3 touchdown passes. Cam Akers ran the ball hard for the Rams 14 times for 61 yards. And Chris Olave, the star wide receiver from New Orleans, 5 catches, 102 yards in a touchdown. Matthew Stafford was knocked out of the game with a concussion.
Yes, he was. And that concussion, of course, his wife is not going to be very happy with that because we've all, her issues with her brain have been well documented. Bryce Perkins came on, was sacked 3 times and, just couldn't get the offense going for the Rams, and the Saints had just enough to win that game. So, 4-7 and this, for the Saints, and 3-7 for the Rams, and it doesn't look like it's going to be it for them this year. They're going to talk about a Super Bowl hangover. My goodness. So, yeah, just crazy.
An upset took place yesterday in MetLife Stadium where the New York Giants were blown out by the Detroit Lions 31-18. Daniel Jones 27-44. Excuse me. For 341 yards, a touchdown. He also had a rushing touchdown in an interception. For Detroit, Mr. Justin Jackson, former Northwestern running back, by the way, he ran the ball hard for the Lions 9 times for 66 yards. And Mr. Wan'Dale Robinson for the New York Giants had 9 catches for 100 yards, and he got injured yesterday. He'll be gone for the year. Lakeena, even though we all picked the Giants, I'm talking about myself, you, and Christine on Friday, we did say that this could be a classic trap game for the New York Football Giants. It turned out it was. Dan Campbell did not let the foot off the gas. Detroit was the more aggressive team. Saquon Barkley was held to only 25 yards rushing for the whole game. I did get a chance to watch some of that game live via this computer screen. Detroit took it to them in that second quarter, and from there on out, the game was theirs.
Yeah, Jamal Williams had 64 rushing yards and 3 touchdowns, so that definitely helped the cause there. And look, I think the Giants are starting to show a little cracks a little bit, and I think the Lions are kind of exposing it. They were able to kind of run through that Giants rush defense, and they were able to kind of keep drives going. And look, Jones had his struggles. He had 2 interceptions, and it's one of those things where you're kind of like, are the Giants starting to kind of show their cracks a little bit? Are they kind of show who they really are? So we'll have to wait and see. I mean, they got a big game coming up on Thanksgiving night, but it's gonna be interesting because I think the Lions are now 4-6. They might be right there for a playoff spot, for one of those wild card spots. So lots still to be determined with a lot of weeks left.
Yeah, shout out to our buddy Lamont Scott checking in via the Facebook. He says, how do y'all feel about Jalen Hurts? Do you think he can continue to play like he has? Yes, as long as that running game can support him. I know Dallas Goedert, their tight end, is out for an extended period of time, but which the pressure it brings up that much more for A.J. Brown, who they traded for in the offseason. As long as the running game can complement him and A.J. Brown continues to step up, that Philadelphia offense will be tough to stop, especially come playoff time.
I know Lamont's very proud of his Saints, that performance he had against the Rams.
I picked him, by the way, on Friday.
Okay, yeah. Well, they're 4-7, so they got a ways to go to be a contender for a wild card spot there, Lamont. I mean, it might be it, for them. But look, a nice win, against the defending champs who are kind of showing a lot of, speaking of teams having issues. Yeah, they got their own issues the Rams to deal with.
Yep. In the last of the early games, the Washington Commanders improved their record to 6-5 by getting a big road victory at Texas against the Houston Texans 23-10. Taylor Heineke 15-27, 191 yards. Antonio Gibson ran the ball hard for the Commanders 18 times for 72 yards, and Brandon Cooks for Houston 3 catches for 70 yards.
Yeah, didn't really do too much, to Taylor Heineke himself said in the post game that they got a lot that they need to clean up. But look, I mean, you're playing the Texans, so you really didn't do too much to win. To win. So they did just enough to win this game, and they're 6-5, and look, Ron Rivera sticking with them. So you're seeing it, and that they had 5 sacks. They sacked Mills 5 times. So that Washington defense showed a lot, did what you're supposed to against a team like the Texans.
You listen to Second City Sports. We're live in the living color on the Monday edition right here on Sports Zone Chicago. Sid, Lakeena here with you. If you want to hit us up via the comment section, you can go to Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Type in questions, comments in the comment section. Lakeena will get them up on the screen for you. Now to the late games, Lakeena, we go. Let's go to the Rocky Mountain High in Denver, Colorado, where the Las Vegas Raiders get it done in overtime thanks to Devontae Adams' walk-off touchdown. In overtime, as the Raiders defeated the Broncos 22-16. Derek Carr, I'm sure he's crying happy tears this morning. He was 23 of 37 with 307 yards and 2 touchdowns. Josh Jacobs ran the ball hard for the Raiders 24 times for 109 yards. Devontae Adams, as I mentioned, who had the game-winning touchdown. He had 2 touchdown catches overall off of 7 catches for 141 yards. Lakeena, as we said on Friday, the Denver Broncos couldn't possibly screw this up. Could they? They sure as hell did.
Well, I know Christine. I know she's kicking herself as well because she was always going to pick the Raiders. I felt the same way she did. I'm like, I'm not picking the Raiders ever. And sure enough, the Broncos, the Raiders ended up winning the game. Look, leaving Devontae Adams wide open. Sure,
I know, right?
That's a great idea. His touchdown of the season, he becomes just a 6th player in NFL history with 6 or more seasons with at least 10 touchdowns, joining guys like Randy Moss, Jerry Rice, Marvin Harrison, T.O., and Chris Carter. Not a bad list to join there. So he's just a pretty elite company. But yeah, Denver. Oh god, like they just released Melvin Gordon about a half hour ago. So now he's out on the market. I'm sure he's gonna be looking for a new team. I'm sure a lot of the contenders are going to be looking for his services, but Denver, I don't know what happened those last that last second half. You thought that maybe 10-7, but it felt like they were down even more. I'm talking about the Raiders, but the Raiders got the juice going, and Denver, I don't know. I mean, they're already wanting Nathaniel Hackett's head on a platter in Denver, so.
You remember the old ownership hired them. Of course, the new ownership is in right now. He may get the boot at the end of the season. We shall see. The Broncos and the Raiders are both 3-7 on the season. The Broncos only scored 6 points in that second half. It was ugly to say the least, but an exciting finish nevertheless. Let's go to Minneapolis, where the Minnesota Vikings got thrashed by the Dallas Cowboys. I told you and Christine on Friday that Dallas would win. They were learning a lesson from blowing that game at Green Bay last week, and they learned it well. The Cowboys defeated the Vikings 40-3. Dak Prescott 22 of 25, 276 yards and 2 touchdown passes. Tony Pollard of the Cowboys had 15 carries for 80 yards. He also had 6 catches, 109 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Lakeena, the Cowboys scored 23 of their 40 points in the first half. And from the word go, the game was theirs. The Vikings defense got shelled. They couldn't get anything going offensively. You really cannot blame Kirk Cousins for this with Lakeena, but the Vikings defense was exposed. I'm not going to sit here and say that they got on too much of a high from their victory over Buffalo last week, but I think they were emotionally spent.
Yeah, I think they were probably exhausted because that was like a big game that kind of took a lot out of them, and that was probably a lot to ask them coming back at it. But I understand they were on the road. If this had happened, it would have been fine. But you were at home. You had the crowd. The crowd was going. You got the crowd going early on, but yet the Cowboys. I don't know. I mean, I think Kirk Cousins even said it best. There was no excuse for that. I know Patrick Peterson said the same thing. But I don't know. This might just be an anomaly. So, I don't know if this is if they will face each other again in the playoffs. Would this be the same result? Probably not. But I feel like there should have been a bigger effort from the Vikings, especially at home. But they were probably emotionally exhausted from that thrilling win against Buffalo last week. So that might have been a lot to ask. But yeah, that was the largest road win in their franchise history. I talk about the Cowboys. It is actually the second largest home loss for the Vikings, in their franchise history. You got to go all the way back to the St. Louis Cardinals back in 1963. They lost to them by 42. So at least it wasn't that bad. But yeah, just not good. Just not a good look for the Vikings.
In last of the late games from yesterday, I did get a chance to watch this game in its entirety via my computer screen and watching my fantasy quarterback Joe Burrow do his thing as the Cincinnati Bengals defeated the Pittsburgh Steelers in the Steel City 37-30. Joe Burrow was 24-39 for 355 yards and 4 touchdown passes. Najee Harris was a big star for Pittsburgh. He ran the ball 20 times for 90 yards and 2 touchdowns. T. Higgins was the man for the Bengals. 9 catches for 148 yards. They forgot about my guy Tyler Boyd yesterday, Lakeena. The reason why I bring this up because he was on my fantasy team. Oh, good grief. But that's besides the point. The Bengals are 1 game in back of the Baltimore Ravens for that division in the AFC North. It was sort of a shootout, which I kind of expected as we talked about it on Friday. And the Bengals held on for a 7-point win. In P.S., did you like those all-white uniforms? I did.
Yeah, I thought they were cool. I like those all white unis. I mean, they were able to people around this were able to see this game after the Cowboys Vikings going up being a blowout. So I think about like halfway through the third quarter, they switched over to this game. Was able to watch the rest of it, and unfortunately, for the Steelers, they had their shots, but I think the talent kind of outweighed that. I mean, and the Bengals, the defense, the Steelers defense couldn't slow down the Bengals, and if they made some stops, they probably would have won this game, but. Unfortunately, they were, Joe Burrow and the rest of that receiving core outside of Jamar Chase, who's still going to be out for another couple more weeks. They just not to win this game as they should have.
Yeah. In the Sunday night football action, it was the Kansas City Chiefs coming from behind to beat the Los Angeles Chargers, or so we call them the San Diego Chargers of Los Angeles on this show, 30-27. Patrick Mahomes, 20-34, 329 yards and 3 touchdowns. Isaiah Pacheco, 15 carries for 107 yards. That's the best running back performance of a Chiefs running back this season. And Travis Kelce, 6 catches for 115 yards and 3 touchdowns. And he scored the go-ahead touchdown with 31 seconds remaining.
Yeah, thanks for nothing, Chargers defense. You had the game right there. You could have just.
I know, right?
You had to do was stop the offense. All you had to do. The game was right there. You scored that go-ahead touchdown. You're able to went down the field. Palmer scored that touchdown. You thought, okay, all you gotta do, Chargers defense, was just slow down Patrick Mahomes. Oh yeah, there's that guy Travis Kelce. Leave him wide open. Sure, why not? That's a whole different thing. But yeah, oh god, and Chiefs fans. I don't want to say they're the worst, but it's one of those things where you're worried here for Chiefs fans. See, we're the best team in the league. Well, in the conference, AFC. You're like, okay, y'all benefited from other stuff. You guys have your own injury issues too, so I don't want to hear it. So it's just like I'm just getting annoyed. So yeah, thanks a lot, Chargers. Thanks a lot. You're 5-5 now. Your coach might be, there people will go ask you for Brandon Staley's head, so something to look out for too. But yeah, that was not. And then Mike Williams got knocked out again. He injured his other ankle. It's just.
I know Keenan Allen returned, but you losing Mike Williams, your big play receiver, that's not good. He just returned. A lot of problems going on in the Chargers lane right now. Before we get to our Monday Night Football preview between the 49ers and the Cardinals from Mexico City, we'll give you our 3 studs and we'll give you our 3 duds. Let's start off with the studs first. Yours truly will go first. I have Jalen Hurts from the Philadelphia Eagles. I have Isaiah Pacheco from the Kansas City Chiefs, their star running back, and I have Mr. Tony Pollard, the running back from the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, I have the Detroit Lions, who they're like I said, they're 4-6. They could be right there, sort of compete for one of those wild card spots. I'll give it to Cordell Patterson. I know he had that that fumble early on in that second quarter, but he redeemed himself with that kickoff return. He now has 9 in his career. That's the most in NFL history. He broke the record that he was tied with Joshua Cribbs and Leon Washington. So a nice showing there.
Remember Dante Hall too, the human joystick. He was a hot thing for a couple of years and he just faded out. Ooh.
Yeah, he only had 6 kickoff returns, I believe. So yeah, that's probably why it wasn't up there. But he had a short career, unfortunately. Doing pretty good at the NFL Network too. So he's found a nice second career there. And I'll say Philadelphia. I mean, I think Philly, did what you're supposed to do after coming off a short week, going on the road after a tough division loss. They came back and. Look, I mean, Liville Joseph and Dominic contributed to one of the reasons why they stayed in the game and they were to pull off that win against the Colts.
And I'll give another bonus stud is Marcus Jones from the New England Patriots, a punt return to end the game for the Patriots as they defeat the New York Jets and take over second place in the AFC. Top for second. They're top going to second place in the AFC East. I know.
Yeah.
I know the Dolphins are there at 7-3, but the Patriots they beat the Jets to sweep in the season series. That was a big win for New England.
That could be a thing that'd be a tie.
One game back in second place, I should say.
Well, it could be a tie. Well, yeah, because remember Buffalo. We'll get to Buffalo doesn't have a division win so far, so they lost to both Buffalo and Miami. So that's one of the reasons why technically the Patriots are in second place in that division. But speaking of Buffalo, I'll give a bonus to the people of Buffalo to get all the Bills players. They helped them out to dig out all that snow. They were able to get to the Buffalo airport on time. They were able to clear the path for them. I saw Gabe Davis. He was playing with a dog in the snow, and a couple other players. I know Josh Allen and his girlfriend. They were stuck in there for a while, but they and some other players. They had neighbors, helped them dig. I think one guy, brought a truck, for Devin Singletary, to get him out of his place. So had a big old a big rig to kind of kick him to practice. And other similar stories like that. So I want to give a bonus up to the folks of Buffalo, the Bills Mafia. You guys are the best.
Yes. Okay, our three duds. I will start first. The special teams for both the New York Jets and the Chicago Bears. And my second dud will be the Minnesota Vikings. Their defense that was terrible for what happened yesterday. And I'm steal a page out of your playbook, Lakeena. The Los Angeles Chargers, the last play of the game. Good grief.
Oh God! You stole all of mine. You stole all the ones I had. Okay, let me see here. I gotta think of a couple more. I'll say the Colts because you had that game one against Philly.
Yeah.
I don't know
I
what
almost
happened
picked them
there.
on. I'm glad I didn't.
yeah, it was definitely gonna be this could have been a trap game for Philly. They were able to come back and win. The Colts, I don't know what happened there. They let Jalen Hurts lead the Eagles down the field, and they end up scoring the game-winning touchdown. So the Rams looks like it's going to be it for them as well. I mean, Matt Stafford, he's probably going to be gone for a couple of weeks. This is his second concussion. Coop's already gone for the year. Cooper Kupp I'm talking about. So that's going to be a whole different thing. And I'll say Minnesota just because he could have been a little bit. I know you were probably emotionally spent from that win against the Bills, but you could have had a little bit of effort against Dallas. Now, like I said, if they end up facing each other again in the playoffs, will be different. I'm sure it'll be a different story. But right now, the overrated people already call you overrated. The guys who are in Gib already say you guys are overrated, and that this confirms it for some folks. So you guys got a lot to do here.
All right, tonight's Monday Night Football game will take place in Mexico City between the 5-4 San Francisco 49ers and the 4-6 Arizona Cardinals. Kyler Murray should be able to return to action tonight as he leads the Arizona Cardinals. On the flip side, you have Jimmy Garoppolo, Lakeena, and Christine's man crush, and you have Christian McCaffrey as they start running back. Lakeena, I think we all picked the 49ers, I believe, on Friday. For this game tonight, I am expecting the defense for the 49ers to show out. For the Arizona Cardinals, can you keep that 49ers defense off balance with your running attack? I don't know if they can do that, but it's going to be interesting contrasting styles tonight as you play on a neutral site.
Yeah, especially I think with the altitude and stuff too. So we'll see if that plays a factor in down in Mexico City. It was like, we'll see if Christian McCaffrey can continue being that sort of that presence that the given the extra oomph that the 49ers need. And look, we'll see if the defense can slow them down for the Cardinals. And if it still ends up being Colt McCoy, I think he needs to kind of get those things going as well. But it's like Murray will be able to play tonight, but that hand has been bothering him, so that's something to look out for as well. I wouldn't be surprised if they give James Conner the ball a lot. So we'll see if they can sort of set the tone early. I think that's going to be kind of like the key. So it should be a good match. And nonetheless, you're in Mexico City. It's Troy Aikman's birthday. Happy birthday to him. 57 today. Also, Michael Strahan, his birthday's today as well. So how ironic. Giants and Cowboy both have birthdays today. There you go. I'm sure I hope they'll play along with that. But this should be a fun game between two division rivals. I mean, they've always had some good games, especially in the last couple of years. You're in a neutral site. This could be there could be a lot of points scored. So who knows?
Yeah, I think they played in Mexico City once before. I want to say it was back in 04, 05, I want to say. You can look that up, Lakeena, real quick if we have time. But these two franchises played in Mexico City before. But like I said, I wanted to bring up this point too before we close out hour number one. That field has had its issues throughout the years. Remember Kansas City and the Rams were supposed to play there in 2018, but it got moved to LA because that field was just tore off from a concert. So hopefully that field is in better condition and we'll get to see a great game tonight.
Yeah, it looks like it was you were off by a couple years. It was actually 07 and
07, okay.
Yeah, and the Cardinals beat the 49ers 31-14. But I think they were playing at different fields. That's what they were playing, and that was like the first international game there. But yeah, it'll be interesting. Like I said, the altitude there, it's going to be interesting, and we'll see how that field. They've had a couple years to kind of try to replenish that field and such. So hopefully, we'll see any bad injuries. Excuse me, tonight, but you never know. It could be it's gonna be one of those weird games where it might be interception or something that might end up winning the game.
I got the San Francisco defense starting on my fantasy team, so I need them to show up big tonight.
I got the Cardinals defense on my fantasy. I need a big one for them so I can break my 5-game losing streak on my fantasy league. So
yeah, losing streaks. We talked about it on Friday. Losing streaks in fantasy football is not good. So it's not good. So we'll see what happens tonight. Hour number 1 in the books. Hour number 2 straight ahead. So you're listening to the Monday edition of Second City Sports. We're live in a living color right here on Sports Zone Chicago. We have the Chicago Bulls to talk about. They lose to the Orlando Magic without their star rookie, and Zach LaVine is involved in some controversy. And the Lakers won a game again. Oh, we got to get into this. And also, too, we'll break down the weekend from college football. And we'll have Old School TV Monday. And we'll pay our own tribute to the Chicago Blackhawk great Marian Hossa. All that and much more as we kick off hour number 2 next. I'm Sid. That's Lakeena. You're listening to Sports Zone Chicago.
No, I don't know. No, I'm scared. I mean, you're
Do you know that you're in my lane? No, not at all. Are you not paying attention? Are you texting? I was just checking in with my mom. I was telling her that I thought we'd be home by 6. It's okay. There's enough time. Just pay attention. I'm not even halfway through my text. There's no way. I'm not even going to look up. My babies are in the car. You have to pay attention. It's just supposed to be a quick text. I'm so sorry.
Hi, I'm Tom Brady, the director of DODEA. September is National Suicide Prevention and Awareness Month. The simple act of reaching out and caring for those in our communities is something we all can do. Just being there for someone you care about can be a tremendous first step in getting them access to confidential resources and support that they need. It only takes one person and one small act and 1 minute to make a difference. Let's make a difference.
Many will hear the calling. Few will earn the title. United States Marine. The few, the proud, the Marines.
Welcome back to hour number 2 of Second City Sports, the Monday edition. We're live in 11 color right here on Sports Zone Chicago. I'm Sid. That's Lakeena. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, at SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80.
You can follow me at Keenan McGee on the Twitter and at Keenan McGee on the IG.
If we have less than an hour left for this extravaganza, we call it Sports Talk Radio Show. If you want to get at us via the comments section, you can always go to Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Type in your questions or comments in the comments section. Lakeena will get them up on the screen for you. And we must remind you that you also catch Sports Zone Chicago on Roku TV, live and on demand 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and 365 days a year, especially with the holidays of Thanksgiving coming up. Lakeena, let's kick off hour number 2 of this fabulous program by discussing the Chicago Bulls and NBA at large. We'll start off with the 6-10 Chicago Bulls. Yes, that's right. There's no typo. The Bulls are 6-10 right now after losing to the Orlando Magic on the Friday, 108-107. DeMar DeRozan had a game-high 41 points. The next closest person scoring rise for the Bulls was Nikolai Vucevic. He had 14 points and 16 rebounds. And it was the Wendell Carter Jr. show, Lakeena, the former Bull. It came back to the team where the place where the team drafted him many years ago. He gave a good performance in 34 minutes of action. He had 21 points and 8 rebounds, but it was a second-year guard, Jalen Green from Gonzaga, that nailed the game winner for the Orlando Magic to steal and win out of the United Center. Lakeena, we talked about this on Friday, and we'll talk about it again here. The Bulls came out flat once again. Of course, Orlando's rookie Paolo Banchero was missing in action. The Orlando Magic jumped out to an early 13-point lead. The Bulls didn't get their stuff together to near the end of the third quarter. It looks like that having these late starts is killing this team. The bench basically had to bring them back into the game. And I believe the Bulls are 0-2 or 0-3 when this season when DeMar DeRozan scores 40 points or more. I forgot the official statistic, but when DeMar DeRozan plays hero ball and everybody stands around and watches, the Bulls lose. It's just that simple.
Especially when Zach LaVine was, struggling. He got benched early in that fourth quarter, and leading to some people to wonder, is there trouble between him and Billy Donovan? They both wanted to squash it to their credit. And look, that game, that was no excuse for that loss. I mean, you're gonna have these kind of losses, but there's still no excuse for it. I mean, when the Bulls got ahead, Vooch missed a couple of free throws. Damn it, Vooch! Like I've been defending you. For all this time, and you let me down by not sealing the victory. Jalen Suggs were able to hit that three-pointer, kind of a la how he did it when Gonzaga against UCLA in that Final Four a couple of years ago. But look, there's just no excuse for it. You're 6-10. They've got a couple of days off. They play Boston tonight. They've beaten Boston at home this year already. So hopefully, this will kind of give like a little wake up call and sort of like to Zach and DeMar and the rest of that team. And look, no bad starts. That's been the problem for this team. No more bad starts, and that way you don't have to worry about guys like Goran Dragic and Andre Drummond and others to kind of Javonte Green and the rest of them to help kind of like have to sort of pick up the slack. It's supposed to be the other way around. So I really need for them to actually have a good start tonight, and hopefully they can do that.
I want to ask you about that bench of Zach LaVine. Do you think it's something to that? The reason why I ask that is because sometimes if you're a head coach, you have to use your stars as an example, but you have to be very careful to send the correct message to the rest of your team. That's how I started. Like you said, Zach LaVine struggled, only 1 of 14 shooting overall, 0-5 from three-point range. I thought he was using him as an example to get the message across to the rest of the team. If you're not doing what you're supposed to do, and if you can't dig yourself out of it, if you're not doing what we ask, then this is what can happen to you. Sometimes superstars, you have to be careful with that now because you could destroy their confidence. But I'm not going to read anything too much into that. Is Zach LaVine alone the reason the Bulls are struggling? No. But I thought that Billy Donovan just used him as an example to get the message across, not to Zach, but just to the rest of the team. Now, it's going to be interesting to see how Zach LaVine responds tonight. And I expect to see Zach with a monster effort tonight.
Yeah, and I think he will too. I think he just need to kind of like that, that sort of like, and look, sometimes stars need that. You go through like a little bit of a stretch. I mean, we've seen it before with various other guys. So I look, I'm not gonna read anything into it because I think that some coaches, they're gonna do it in the press. That's not Billy Donovan's style. He'll just bench you and just say, hey, look, think about what you're doing, and let's hope so. I'm sure Zach will have a bigger effort. Hopefully, the Bulls and the team will have a bigger effort. And who knows? Maybe they'll pull off the upset like they did about a month ago when they beat Boston. So we'll see what happens. Like I said, I'm not gonna go freak out, but you need to get it together. You need to get it together, though.
Yeah. Buddy Lamont checks in from Facebook. They have to work together, and they are an okay team, and they can win more. We couldn't agree with you more, Lamont, but they had to do it 48 minutes, especially from the defensive end. And he checks in again with the previous comment, says the Bulls' problem seems mental and coachable. So we'll see what happens. I know they're 6-10 right now. Kobe White just got back around this time last week. Andre Drummond got back to the lineup a couple of weeks ago. He's starting to do his thing, but it's been Goran Dragic and Javonte Green. As I said, he needs to pick up he did that on Friday as he helped lead the Bulls back, and they actually took the lead, as you mentioned. But Vooch missed those 2 free throws, and the legendary Hall of Famer Rick Barry said this: missed free throws, they're very important. If you miss any free throws, it costs you games, it costs you championships, it costs you your legacy, and it costs the Bulls the game on Friday.
Yes, I think I'm with Lamont too. Lamont, I agree with you when he says, it's more mental and it is very coachable and easy to fix. So hopefully, they can get out of their way, mentally, and hopefully they can kind of start a work, because they got they got a very tough stretch this next week. So hopefully they can do that. Now going back to the rest of the NBA, Cleveland got back on track, doing what beating the Charlotte Hornets in double overtime, 132 to 122, and Darius Garland had 41 points. Which is a career high for him. So that was a crazy game and such. It was back and forth, high scoring. So if you took the over in this one on Friday, you had a nice little start to your weekend. So a nice win for the Cavs, who have been struggling a lot lately. So look, I know I get on Cleveland. Look, that's a good Cleveland squad. I'm not saying that they're not, but yeah. So that was a nice win for them for Cleveland. Indiana again. Tyrese Halliburton had 19 points lead the way for them as they beat
your Pacers.
Yeah, well, 91. 96,
She's not claiming them yet.
Not yet. I'm up there with they're look. Rick Carlisle's got those guys playing well. And so, like you said, you got Halliburton, you got a really solid squad. So yeah, the Pacers look really good. The Wizards, I know our girl Alana Tekar, we gotta get her back on the show at some point. Yeah. Edged out Miami. I know she wasn't very happy with that loss. In overtime, 107-106. Bradley Beal led the way with 27 in that match. So that's another crazy finish there. Let's see. Utah held off Phoenix. Another high scoring game.
Oh, from Friday. Yeah.
Yeah, 134-133. Yeah, Lauri Markkanen had 38 points. Look, I don't know how long Utah can kind of stick around with that, but look, I think they're sure that they're pretty solid now. Again, will they start training guys at the trade deadline? Who knows? But look, it is what it is.
As I said before, Lauri Markkanen is playing like an all-star this year, and Colin Sexton, he's running the point very well for the Utah Jazz. And watch out for Chicago's very own Taylor Horton-Tucker. Remember, LeBron was hyping him up a couple of years ago when he was with the Lakers, and now he's getting more playing time in Utah.
Absolutely. So it is paying dividends for them, at least so far in Utah. We'll see if they can keep it up. Golden State beats the Knicks 111-101. Just 24 points, for Steph Curry, which you probably say, oh, that's not really, it's like off game for Steph. But this is 42nd career game with 10 assists. He had 10 assists that game and 5 made threes. That's the second most all time behind James Harden, who's at it 59 times so far. They shot 10 for 14 in field goals off of Curry's passes in that win. So a nice, good win. And we'll get to them. Is that because they actually got a road win yesterday?
Yes.
So we'll get to that in a second. But yeah, a nice showing for them. Also, Lakers, bring up the Lakers. 128-121 win over the Pistons. Anthony Davis led the way with 38 points. I know some people are already saying that him. But look, how some people are said. Since LeBron's been out, Anthony Davis has played a lot better. Some people say, well, maybe LeBron's been the problem. I would say relax on that, folks, for a second, please.
Yeah.
But a solid performance.
Yeah. A few results from last Saturday's action. The Hawks get by the Raptors 124-122. Lakeena, soon to be claiming her new team for this year, the Indiana Pacers. They beat the Orlando Magic. Something the Bulls couldn't do last Friday, 114-113. The Timberwolves get by Philadelphia 112-109 on the road. Tyrese Maxey injured his foot. They already have James Harden out. Now Tyrese Maxey, I believe, is week to week with an injury. So Philadelphia is going through it injury-wise right now. So Minnesota was able to take advantage of that. Of course, Utah defeated Portland 118-113. I did get a chance to check out some of that game. Utah, as we talked about, they play well together as a team with no major superstars. And of course, the Clippers got a big win at home against a struggling San Antonio team.
Going back to that Sixers T-Wolves game, Embiid looks like he's going to be out for at least a couple of games because he injured his foot stepping on George Niang's foot. So he's going to be out for maybe a game or two. So injuries starting to mount for the Sixers. So this is sort of like the big concern early on. Harden's already out. Max is going to be out for maybe a week or two. So Doc Rivers going to have to figure out something to try to kind of get other guys to step up. So we'll see what happens there. Now going into yesterday's action, you got the Suns.
Sunday.
Yes, which is Sunday. Yes, good to make sure we.
For those listening back on the podcast.
Yeah, I will say for a little clarification there. The Suns hammering the Knicks 116-95. Cameron Payne had 21 points. Just a really solid team effort there, bouncing back from that loss to Utah on Friday for the Suns. So a nice bounce back win for them. Look, Payne and Knicks usually does that. So a nice showing there from them. My laptop here can cooperate for a second. Give me a minute, folks.
The Wizards beat the Charlotte Hornets 106-102. Kyle Kuzma, I think he's becoming that third guy on Washington, Lakeena. You have Bradley Beal and you have Kristaps Porzingis, but Kyle Kuzma, I know the Lakers wish they had him right now. He led the way with 30 points, and he's really been stepping it up for these last couple of weeks as Washington has one of the best surprising records in the Eastern Conference next to Indiana.
Yeah, absolutely. Sacramento broke out the Kings. De'Aaron Fox had 33 points in their win over the Pistons, 137-129. I think the Pistons only won one game on the road on the West road trip so far.
And your guy Kate Cunningham is out.
Yeah, he's gonna be out for a little bit still. So they were able to. And look, the Kings. I'm not saying the Kings are gonna be right there, competing for the West, but look, 9-6. If you're a Kings fan, you gotta be feeling pretty good about your Kings. You got some great talent there. We talked about De'Aaron Fox. We talked about Harrison Barnes. He's been around for a while. So there are a lot of really solid. I'm not saying that the Kings are gonna be up there in the West with the Suns and the Warriors and them and the Clippers, but look, if you have the Kings come up in your schedule, you can't just say it's gonna be an automatic win. So you better have your best foot forward because they're gonna be ready for you.
And I was going to say, don't forget about Domantas Sabonis. He was an all-star a couple of years ago, too. I know he was with the Indiana Pacers when that happened, but he's added some additional scoring and some toughness to that Sacramento Kings as well, patrolling the middle. So, like you said, the Kings, if it wasn't for the Utah Jazz and their surprising starts, the Sacramento Kings will be talked about right now. They haven't made the playoffs since the 05-06 season. So, like you said, I'm not saying that streak is going to be broken this year, but that fan base deserves more, especially what they went through these last several years.
Yeah, they definitely deserve after everything they've been through, both with ownership and all the other front office stuff. So they definitely need a little bit of a mulligan there. The Nets got a big win. They beat Memphis 127-115. I was able to watch. I watched a little bit of this game, kind of in between the football games, especially with the Sunday Night Football. So a really good performance by them. All 5 stars for the Nets. Scored in double figures. Of course, KD leading the way with 26 points. Ben Simmons had 22 points. We finally seeing Ben Simmons. The Ben Simmons that we all thought that maybe we're finally going to see when he got traded to the Nets. We finally might be seeing him, Sid. So they might be turning the corner here. The Nets, they're 8-9 right now.
Yeah, and like I said, Kyrie Irving got a nice ovation from the crowd yesterday as he made his return to action. He only played 25 minutes, scoring 14 points. It's going to take him a little bit more time to get back into basketball shape, but he looked good in limited action yesterday. I did a chance to watch some of the highlights.
Yes, he did. He actually looked really good, and then like I said, he got a nice ovation from the crowd. So you never know with some folks. The Cavs beat the Heat yesterday on Sunday, 113-87. The Heat are back kind of where the Bulls are. They're 7-10 right now, and I'm sure folks are starting to get a little bit panicky there. But we'll start with the Cavs first. Darius Garland had 25 points again, but it was Seti Osman that had a career high 20 off the bench for them. So nice bench points there. But back to the Heat for a second. I mean, they're not looking really good. I know the Bulls are having their own issues, but the Heat are having their issues as well.
Yeah, Miami's known as a strong defensive team, but their problem has really been on offense, and they can't score enough. And I know you have Bam Adebayo. I know you have Jimmy Butler. And I know we're waiting for a ticking time bomb from him any moment now. But really, their problem has been offense. And let's see if they can get it turned around. Because, like we said, just like we talked about it with the Bulls, it's a very competitive Eastern Conference. You cannot afford to go on long losing streaks.
No, you can't. And speaking of road losing streaks, the Warriors got their first road win of the season.
Yay! I watched the last 5 minutes of that game yesterday via this computer screen. Did you see that shot from Steph Curry? Like on 30 seconds left. He just threw it out there like, bleep it. And it went in.
What the hell? And it went in. Yeah, I was like, what the hell? I'll just shoot it.
I do this all the time in my sleep.
I was like, we practice those all the time. So you're like, I'll just throw it up. Oh, whatever. 127-120 win yesterday against the Rockets. Finally get their first road win of the season. I'm sure Warriors fans were like celebrating like they won another championship because they really needed that win. Of course, Steph had 33. Klay Thompson had 41, leading the way there. That's a season high for him.
And 10 3-pointers.
Yep. So, my goodness. So they were shooting threes like crazy. They shot like 51% from threes. So that was one of the reasons why they were able to hold off the Rockets, because that made the Rockets were kind of caught up a little bit. They were actually they were actually right there. They actually were right there. I'm talking about the Rockets were, but the 3-pointers saved the Warriors in yesterday's game.
Yep, and also too, the Denver Nuggets get by the Dallas Mavericks 98-97. Splitting that
game. Yeah,
splitting that weekend series. Lakeena, you had to explain to me what happened in the last few seconds there. I caught it on the highlights, but the Denver Nuggets get that important win without Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray. Both of them are in health and safety protocols. Hopefully they'll get healthy and get back on the court soon. Explain to me what happened in the last few seconds there. It was just crazy.
Yeah, it was sort of like a weird buzzer beater. It was kind of weird. I think Luke missed a buzzer beater, from 3, and then there was another buzzer beater before that. So it was just the whole game was just strange. It was exciting, but it was a strange game. So that whole thing. But I saw like last couple of minutes of it. Yeah, I mean, Luka missed a 3, which is a very rare for him, and it was just one of the. It was like it was just crazy. But I mean. Like a nice showing for the Nuggets, playing basically shorthanded, like you said, with Jokic and a couple other guys and health and safety protocols. So, but look, Michael Malone, hey, look, we're not gonna make any excuses. So Brendan Highland led the way for the Nuggets, which is a season career. I think it's a career high for him, the 29 points off the bench. So Bones Highland, I should say. So VCU guy, all A10 a couple of years ago. So. That was the game was just strange. That the whole game was really strange. It was exciting, but it was a very strange game yesterday.
And then, of course, Mark Cuban came out there yelling at the refs after the game, like, I love your passion, man, but go sit down. Go sit down. He missed a
3. I guess he thought that Luka was fouled with that 3, but they're not going to call that, as he had just missed it. It was just short. I think he shot a little bit too hard, so I think he was rushing it. So that's probably what happened there. But look, a nice one for the Nuggets, being shorthanded. But the Lakers have won. They've won 3 in a row, I should say. They're 5
against bad teams. Go figure.
Look,
and they did it without LeBron again.
Yeah, they easily beat the Spurs by 31, 123, 92, 30 points for AD. Austin Reeves had 21, I should say, for the Lakers. Also, too, Lonnie Walker the fourth had 14, and look, I mean, Westbrook had 10 off the bench. Actually, had a couple key rebounds. They kind of not key rebounds. They were over there. They had already kind of had their way with them. They already by the second quarter, they already were starting to pull away from the Spurs. So I know people are already saying that those hot takes that. Well, maybe LeBron was a problem. Relax, folks. Come on now, he'll be back soon. But so far they actually been looking pretty good without him. The Lakers, I mean.
Yeah, and like I said, Anthony Davis has been stepping up big time, averaging over 30 points a game. Let's see if he can do that against better competition. You're listening to Second City Sports or Sports Zone Chicago. We're live in 11 color on the Monday edition. I'm Sid. That's Lakeena. Lakeena says we'll be celebrating the Thanksgiving holiday. The NBA won't be playing on Thanksgiving, but they still will be playing games throughout the week. So we'll give you the schedule, starting with tonight's games. Tonight's games Monday. Well, of course, we had the Celtics and the Bulls in front of the United Center at 7 o'clock. We have the Hawks and Cavaliers at 6. Also at 6, the Magic and the Pacers. At 7 o'clock, Portland and Milwaukee. Also at 7, Miami at Minnesota. At 7 o'clock on NBA TV tonight, the Monday night game, we'll have Golden State at New Orleans. Hopefully Zion Williamson will be back for the Pelicans for that one. Also at 7 o'clock, we have the Knicks at the OKC Thunder. And at 9:30, the second half of that Monday night NBA TV doubleheader, we have the Jazz at the Clippers. The Clippers will try to avenge the loss to the Jazz from a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, that should be a fun one. All those should be be fun ones on Monday. So tonight, so yeah, there should be some good ones on Tuesday, which is tomorrow. Brooklyn and Philadelphia. That's the first game of that TNT Tuesday night doubleheader at 6:30. That should be a fun one. But like I said, Philly is going to be shorthanded. Looks like Embiid won't be playing. Maxi's out. Harden's probably still going to be out too. So yeah, it might be.
It's a return of Ben Simmons, so he'll get all the attention whether he likes it or not.
Well, maybe not standing ovations either. I don't think. A good one. A good one here a good one in Memphis at 7 o'clock. You got Sacramento and Memphis. That should be a fun one. The battle of two really good young upstart teams. You got Detroit and Denver. Hopefully, Jokic and the rest of those guys will be back. Maybe not. But a good one on the last the 9 o'clock game of that TNT doubleheader tomorrow night. You got the Lakers and the Suns. Should be a fun one. No worry yet. LeBron's probably not going to be able to be back by then. But it should be a fun matchup. I mean, with the way AD's been playing pretty well. So it should be a good one nonetheless.
All right, to Wednesday's schedule we go next, where the Bulls will travel to Milwaukee to play the Bucks for the first time this year. That's in Wisconsin. That's at 7 o'clock. Continuing with the Wednesday schedule, we have Philadelphia at Charlotte at 6 o'clock, Portland at Cleveland at 6, Minnesota at Indiana at 6. At 6:30, it's the Sacramento Kings at the Atlanta Hawks. The first game of that Wednesday night doubleheader on ESPN will feature the Dallas Mavericks at the Boston Celtics. Also at 6:30.
Should be a fun one.
Yeah. Also at 6:30, we have Washington and Miami. At 6:30, this is a full schedule for Wednesday because of the Thanksgiving holiday. The NBA will have off. New Jersey. Brooklyn at Toronto at 6:30. At 7 o'clock on Wednesday, Denver at OKC. The Pelicans and the Spurs at 7 o'clock. 8 o'clock, Detroit at Utah. And then the second half of that Wednesday night doubleheader on ESPN will feature the Clippers at the Warriors.
This should be a fun one. That one, I'm looking forward to that. We'll be watching that game. Steph versus Kawhi, that should be a lot of fun. There, of course, we're gonna go ahead and do the rest of the games because in case we're off on the rest of the week. So again, no games on Thursday, of course, as I said, because of Thanksgiving holiday, they don't play on Thanksgiving anyway. But a full schedule on Friday, the Friday after that. 4 o'clock, yes, 4 o'clock. Got Minnesota, Charlotte. So all you guys,
Black Friday,
Black Friday game here. So at 4 o'clock. So make sure you guys check that out. Philadelphia and Orlando at 6. Portland and New York, the Knicks at 6:30. Sacramento and Boston. Boston, be careful of Sacramento. That's a pretty good Sacramento team. You're on the rise at 7 o'clock. Brooklyn and Indiana. Yeah, that should be a fun one at 7. Atlanta and Houston at 7. The first game of the NBA TV doubleheader, you got the Pelicans and the Grizzlies. That should be a fun one. The Battle of the Young Guns there. Of course, the Bulls and OKC. OKC decent, but hopefully the Bulls should be able to win this game. Let's see. I think I know I skipped one. Oh yeah, Cleveland and Milwaukee. That should be another fun one at 7. At 7 o'clock, I should say. You got the Lakers and the Spurs. 8 o'clock, Detroit and Phoenix. A good one here. I'm surprised this one's not the NBA, the second game of the NBA TV doubleheader, but it is what it is. Utah and Golden State. And the second game of the NBA TV doubleheader, you got Denver and the Clippers.
Let's go ahead to Saturday schedule for November 26th. We have Dallas at Toronto at 4 o'clock. OKC will take on the Houston Rockets at 7 o'clock. That's the NBA TV Saturday night game. Also at 7 o'clock, the Lakers and the Spurs. And then at 8 o'clock, we have Utah at Phoenix.
All right, going into Sunday, the end of that Thanksgiving day. Good night, Thanksgiving weekend. 2 o'clock, you got Portland and Brooklyn. Don't ask me why these games are at 2 o'clock. They're not even on national television. Golden State and Minnesota. That should be a fun one at 2:30. Indiana and the Clippers at 3. You got the Heat and the Hawks at 4. This is weird on some of these times here. And Washington and Boston, so you get the rest of those.
Yeah, also at 5 o'clock on Sunday for the 27th, we have Cleveland at Detroit. And also we have Memphis at New York to take on the Knicks at MSG. John Morant's lone visit to MSG. And also at 5 o'clock, Philadelphia will go to Orlando. And then the Sunday night TV game for the November 27th, we'll have Dallas at Milwaukee.
You got all that, folks.
Yeah. And we are done with the NBA.
Whew, thank goodness. We got to take a quick break, folks, to towel up all this NBA talk, all the NBA games we're previewing for you guys for the rest of the week. But you know what? NCAA football week 12, some statement games, and leading up to some rivalry games that could decide some things for the playoffs and for conference championships. We'll see what happens there. Also, too, the MLB baseball has announced their Hall of Fame list. Some interesting ones there. Also, too, old school TV Monday. So a lot to do, so much to do still, so little time. We're going to get right into it after this break. Lakeena McGee, Sydney Brown, Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago. We're wrapping things up right after this.
This year, my mom got me the perfect bag for back to school.
These colorful binders help me stay organized.
These headphones are just what I need for studying.
These new sneakers are just what I needed for the new year.
This jacket is a real must-have.
My parents got me the skateboard I wanted. It's pretty cool.
These scissors really come in handy in art class.
These colored pencils, too.
These new socks, they can be a real lifesaver.
I finally got my own phone to stay in touch with my mom.
Trisha's having a sleepover tonight. Can I go?
I wonder about Lucy's friends. What should I say? I know you're only 10, but one of these days a friend will offer you a drink. And alcohol at your age can lead to so many things. None of them good.
So can I go to the sleepover?
Lucy, I want you to promise me
I
something.
finished my homework.
Bigger promise. If there's any drinking, I want you to say, "No thanks, not my thing."
Mom.
I promise you. Your real friends won't care. Deal?
Sure.
Really?
I promise, Mom.
They really do hear you.
Did you pack your toothbrush?
For tips on how to start the talk, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov. A public service message from the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration.
Hey, this is Dr. J, and I listen to Sean and Maya in the morning.
Oh, I'm sorry. Welcome back to Second City Sports on the Monday edition. We're live in living color right here on Sports Zone Chicago. I'm Sid. That's Lakeena. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter and the IG at CK80. Once again, at CK80, that's SIDKID80, SIDKID80.
You can follow me at Keenan McGee on the Twitter and at Keenan's going to get on the IG.
We have less than a half hour left of this extravaganza we call it Sports Talk Radio Show. So if you want to get at us via the comment section, you can do so right now at Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Type in your questions or comments in the comment section. Lakeena will get them up on the screen for you. Lakeena, let's review some of the key games from Week 12 from college football from over the weekend. We'll start out locally in the Big Ten. Number 3, Michigan. The Wolverines get by Illinois at the Big House, 19-17. I was watching the majority of this game. Looking at Illinois, they gave all they had to Michigan on the road, but they come up a couple of big plays short. Chase Brown for the final lineup. We didn't know if he was going to play or not. He didn't look like he was injured. He ran the ball 29 times for 140 yards and 2 touchdowns. But it was J.J. McCarthy for Michigan, 18-34 for over 208 yards. And for the Illini, Casey Washington was the only other standout for the Illini, 6 catches for 53 yards. But Lakeena, I did not get the feeling that Michigan was playing down to that competition. Illinois was playing for their lives, but Michigan came up with a couple of the big plays down the stretch. Were there a couple of bad calls on both sides? Yes, but Illinois played their hearts out. They deserved a better fate than that.
Yeah, it's sort of one of those things where you kind of like you feel for Illinois, but look, Michigan, did what they're supposed to do. They made the big plays. Were there a couple of questionable calls? Okay, yeah. But I know Brett Bielema was not happy. He was talking to the officials at halftime, and after the game and everything, especially on the PI call against Witherspoon. But look, it is what it is with that. But, look, you did what they're supposed to do. I'm talking Michigan State undefeated. So, and, a pretty solid Illinois team. So, like I said, it is what it is with that. Now, Ohio State, on the other hand, had their hands full with Maryland. They did just enough to win that game, 43-30, setting up a big matchup between the two of them. We'll get to that in a second. But C.J. Stroud had two touchdowns. Well, 1 touchdown, I should say. Dallas Hayden had 146 rush yards and 3 touchdowns for Ohio State. Taulia Tagovailoa, Tua's kid brother, had 2 touchdown passes, but their defense, I'm talking about Maryland's defense, just couldn't do enough to try to slow down Ohio State. They made the big plays, but they couldn't do it late.
Yep, and also going back to Big 12 football, TCU, the Horned Frogs, so they get it done with the last-second field goal. They defeated the Baylor Bears on the road, 29-28. Baylor scored 14 points in the fourth quarter, but it was not enough as the TCU keeps their college football playoff hopes alive with the win. TCU, they're 11-0 overall, 8-0 in Big 12 play.
Yeah, nice going, Baylor. You had your chance to win not once but twice. You were up 8 twice. You gave up the lead twice. Your conservative play calling. Don't know what the heck you were doing there. You passed the ball a couple of times. Don't know why you did that. When you're running, it was actually pretty solid early on. So I don't know what to think of this game. I mean, you give Slade Dice, Max Duggan credit for leading that charge to set up that field goal, but at the same time, though, Baylor, you had that game twice. You had that game, so I think both can be true. Georgia do what you're supposed to against Kentucky. They just didn't do too much, but they just have to win that game against Kentucky, 16-6. It's the first time that they're the first SEC team to go undefeated in conference play in consecutive seasons since Alabama did it, both in 2008 and 2009. LSU again. A little sloppy, but again, he needed just to pull away from UAB. USC beat UCLA 48-45. They've now.
We told you it was going to be a shootout on Friday, and I said USC was going to win, and that's exactly what they did.
Yeah, the 18th interception for them this season. That's the most they've had since 2012, and they've pushed a spot in the Pac-12 championship game. We'll get you to all of the scenarios because there are a lot of them in just a minute. And for that second spot, Alabama beats Austin Peay. No trouble with their 34-0. Clemson no trouble with Miami 40-10. Oregon held off Utah, so they're kind of in the driver's seat to get that second spot against USC. Bo Nix, who he was a little bit banged up to the ankle injury. There was some word on whether that he wasn't going to play, but he passed 287 yards. He had an interception, but did have a touchdown. It was a defense for Oregon that helped in that front. So they had 3 interceptions combined. Bennett Williams had 2 of those interceptions. So a nice little win for Oregon.
Yeah, number 5, Tennessee. The Volunteers lose the game to South Carolina 63-30 up, but they lose that quarterback Hooker for the year. He has a torn ACL. As far as the game itself, Spencer Rattler had 6 touchdown passes for the Gamecocks off of 438 yards passing.
The 63 points that the Gamecocks scored, that's the most by an unranked team against a top 5 team in the poll era. And so a nice win for Shane Beamer and the rest of that crew. You feel for Hendon Hooker because that's that's probably it for his college career. So have those kind of injuries, especially this late in the season, that's not good. So I don't know what happened with Tennessee, but yeah, the Gamecocks, they just poured on them and didn't let up. So when they thought they made the balls were kind of like going to catch up, they didn't. So a nice win for Shane Beamer, Spencer Rattler, and the Gamecocks.
Yeah, back to Big Ten action. Number 11, Penn State. No one's talking about them. They could sneak into a New Year's 6 bowl game. They defeated Rutgers 55-10. Mr. Clifford for Penn State, Sean Clifford, had a touchdown pass off 157 yards passing. But it'll say star running back Mr. Katron Allen, 11 carries, 117 yards in the score. Singleton also had a 100-yard kickoff return for a touchdown to break the game open for the Nittany Lions.
Yeah, a lot has happened in front of Penn State over them to have a shot, but they got an outside shot, but a lot has to happen in front of them. But like a nice do what you're supposed to against Rutgers. So Nova there. Georgia Tech upset UNC 21-17. This is sort of like a case where I think they played on their competition. I'm talking about North Carolina, but they didn't get out of it. So they had their chances to win it, and I know Josh Davis had dropped a short touchdown pass like in the final seconds. I could have won that game for North Carolina. I feel for him. So, but a nice one for Georgia Tech. I mean, they're going through a lot right now. Wiping the slate clean with a new everything. So these guys are kind of like playing with a little bit of a chip on their shoulder.
Yeah, back to Big 12 action. West Virginia, they were upset. They got lost rather to Kansas State 48-31. Kansas State 8-3 overall, 62 in Big 12 play. Number 17, Washington. The Huskies destroyed Colorado 54-7. And Notre Dame, they shut out Boston College. I know our girl Christine, the Queen Manica, is happy about that one. Notre Dame shuts out Boston College 44-0. Morrison grabs 3 interceptions.
Yeah, nice. A solid showing for them. Look, you're doing what you're supposed to with a program that's kind of like like in limbo. I'm talking about Boston College. They're kind of like they're sort of like that whole thing. I think the coaching staff's probably going to be let go. So, but once proud program. I mean, they were like up there, playing with the Clemsons and such. With Matt Ryan there, and now they're this. So I don't know what happened there. Navy upsets number 20 UCF 17-14. They might open the door a little bit for teams like Tulane and SMU and the American and Cincinnati as well. So that a bad loss for UCF. Oklahoma, I think they might have,
they finally won a game. Yay!
Yeah, they beat the Bedlam series. They beat Oklahoma State 28-13. They kind of jumped in early. Oklahoma State was able to get out of that. So if you're Brett Venable, I think you'll take that. I know this has been a great season for him there, but you beat your rival, so I think that you're a rival. So that's I think you'll take that for Oklahoma. That's a nice building block for next year. Oregon State beats Arizona State 31-7, I should say. NC State Louisville, I should say, upsets NC State 25-10. They're going a little bit of a run here. Cincinnati, of course, benefited from that UCF loss. They beat Temple 23-3, and Texas A&M beats UMass. So at least for right now, Jimbo Fisher's job is safe. Wisconsin beat Nebraska 15-14 to help them off. Purdue, no trouble with Northwestern 17-9.
Opens up a door for Purdue in that Big Ten West.
Indiana beats Michigan State in a crazy one here in double overtime. Wazoo beats Arizona 31-20. Texas beats Kansas. So they guys still got a shot again to the Big 12 championship. And let's see. Oh, what happened to your Minnesota Gophers there, Sid? They had the lead. Had a fumble.
They can't put up any points. Only 3 points in the second half. I'm reverting to Minnesota. It makes no sense. Oh, good grief.
Yeah, 13-10 Iowa. Iowa's now in the driver's seat in that.
5-3 in the Big Ten. Yep.
In the West. So So it's probably between Iowa and Purdue for that last spot. We'll go through all the scenarios in a second. Texas Tech beats Iowa State. Boise State held off Wyoming in the Mountain West. Utah State beats San Jose State. And Hawaii beats UNLV in late action.
All right, you're listening to Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago, the Monday edition. I'm Sid, that's Lakeena. As we continue our college football talk, we won't give you the whole schedule, but this coming Saturday is Rivalry Saturday. But before we get there, Lakeena, you said yes to some scenarios for certain teams trying to make a late push to get into that college football tournament. Because we all know that the conference championship games will be coming up in less than a couple of weeks.
Yeah, so the Pac-12, Oregon's in the driver's seat. I mean, if they win, they're in. That's basically simple. Now Utah,
they probably face UC, not UCLA, USC.
Yeah, in the Pac-12 championship game. Now, Washington plays Washington State for the Apple Cup. They can still win, but a lot has to happen in front of them. They gotta hope Oregon loses. They gotta hope Utah loses. Utah gets in, but yet they gotta hope that Washington loses and Oregon loses. So there's like about 100 different scenarios. I won't go through all of them. So it is a bit of a back spinner than us in the Big Ten. Iowa wins. They're in. Let me see I gotta see who they're playing, but we'll get to that in a second. But yeah, Iowa. I think they play Nebraska. So if they beat Nebraska, they beat Nebraska on Friday. They will get into the Big Ten championship game. Now, if they win, if they lose, if Purdue wins, Purdue gets in. Purdue, they get Indiana on Saturday. So, a lot of scenarios. Yeah, so there's so many scenarios that it'll make your head spin.
Yeah, just a few games to give you guys a note for Thanksgiving weekend. Of course, on Thanksgiving night, which is Thursday, at 6 p.m. on ESPN, we have Mississippi State taking on number 14 Ole Miss. That should be a fun one. Friday, 11 a.m. on ABC, Tulane, number 21 Tulane versus number 25 Cincinnati. At 2:30 for Friday, number 24 NC State will travel to North Carolina to face the 13th ranked Tar Heels. And at 3:30 on Fox on Friday, UCLA will try to rebound from that tough loss against USC. They'll face California. And then at 6:30 on ABC for Friday, number 19 Florida State quietly at 8-3, they'll host 6-5 Florida.
Yeah, that should be a fun one. There are also Baylor against Texas. Texas still has a shot to win to get into the Big 12 championship game, but a lot has to happen in front of them. Arizona State on FS1 at 2 o'clock. Let's see here. Like I said Iowa, Nebraska. Iowa wins. They're in the Big 12 championship game against whoever wins the Ohio State Michigan game. We'll get to that in a second. That's at 3 o'clock on Big Ten Network. On Saturday, you got Georgia Tech and Georgia, Michigan and Ohio State. Of course, at the big news Saturday game. At
a 3-hour pregame show starting at 8 o'clock Chicago time on Saturday.
Oh, goody, great.
Big news Saturday.
Yeah, South Carolina coming off the upsets against Tennessee. They face Clemson at 11 a.m. on ABC. Like I said, we don't want to go through all of them, but Auburn, Alabama, the Iron Bowl, it's at 2:30 on CBS. I mean, if they get a good showing for them, maybe, like I said, Cadillac Williams, as we call him, hopefully he'll get a legit shot at that job. I think he's like 2-1 against Alabama, if I'm not mistaken, during his career there. So I'm sure he's gonna have his guys revved up for that game. Oregon State, like I said, Oregon wins. They're in. That's at 2:30 on ABC.
That could be an upset alert. I'm just saying.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, they're got a good defense there at Oregon State, so they're gonna be ready for that one in Corvallis. Memphis and Wisconsin, like I said, Minnesota, Wisconsin, I should say, at 2:30 on ESPN. Illinois Northwestern, for pride purposes, that's not.
It's bigger for Illinois, especially. I think they're ball eligible already, but you want to finish the season strong at 8-4.
Yeah, I don't see that game anywhere being on television, so you may have to stream that game somewhere. Purdue and Indiana is on Big Ten Network. If Purdue wins, but they gotta hope that Iowa loses the day before against Nebraska, so they may have an outside shot to Big Ten championship. Iowa State and TCU are already in the Big 12. Michigan State and Penn State. Like I said, a lot of these rivalry games. You got the Apple Cup, the Apple Cup with Washington State. Yeah, Oregon State, so Michigan and Ohio State, of course. Notre Dame and USC. That's going to be the primetime game at 6:30 on ABC Saturday night. That should be an interesting one there. USC still has an outside shot of winning getting into the playoff, I should say. So if they win their next 2 games, which this one against Notre Dame and whoever they face in the Pac-12 championship game in a couple of weeks, in Nutmeg Cup, you got Sunflower Cup. I should say, got Kansas at Kansas State. K-State wins, they're in. They lose. Texas sneaking back in there. That's at 7:00 on Saturday night on Fox.
All right, you listening to Second City Sports?
Watch this. I gotta make sure I gotta watch this on ESPN at 9:30. I gotta make sure I get that rivalry in.
Okay. All right. Second City Sports, the Monday edition. You're listening to it live in the 11 color right here on Sports Zone Chicago. Sid, Lakeena here with you. We have a few minutes left, Lakeena. Before we get to Old School TV Monday in our tribute to Marian Hossa, let's talk about the 2023 Baseball Hall of Fame ballots that were released earlier today. And so a couple of interesting names. We won't go through all of them. We'll just go through some of the key ones. We'll start with Bobby Abreu.
Probably won't get in right away. You may have to wait a few years, I think.
Okay. Carlos Beltran. I think because of that cheating scandal, he's going to wait a while.
He's going to have to wait a while. Yeah, he's not going to get in right away. He would be, but if not for that thing, that's not going to work.
Mark Burley, I think he'll get in, but he's going to have to wait at least 1 term, maybe 2 terms, but he's going to have to wait.
2 terms, probably for minimum for Mark Burley.
Let's see here, Todd Helton.
He should be in first ballot, but I doubt he'll have to. Since he played in Colorado, he'll probably have to wait a few years.
All right, Torrey Hunter.
Should be in first ballot, but then again, you know how the Baseball Hall of Fame voters are, so he may have to wait a year or 2. You never know.
Andrew Jones.
Same thing for the same reason. Same thing.
All right, Jeff Kent.
Probably will have to wait a few years.
Okay, Andy Pettitte.
He had his own issues, so I'm thinking that he may have to wait a little bit.
Even though he has a strong resume.
Yeah, he has a good resume, but you know how they say, how the Baseball Hall of Fame is, so.
I think you say the same thing for this next guy, Manny Ramirez.
Same.
All right, Alex Rodriguez, even though he's in the media, he probably had to wait too. He's going to wait.
Yeah.
All right, Francisco Rodriguez, the former reliever of Milwaukee and Anaheim.
Yeah, K-Rod should get in, but again, you know how, not for any scandal, but just because you know how folks feel about relievers, so he may have to wait maybe a year or 2.
Scott Rowland.
We'll probably have to wait a few years.
Okay. Jimmy Rollins, he'll wait. I think he'll wait. This guy should be in right now, but he's going to have to wait probably 1 more time. Gary Sheffield.
He was very close. I think he was right there. I think he's 71%, so he is right there. So I think he should get in. But again, these Baseball Hall of Fame writers, they're above on be all. So
yeah, just a couple more names. Houston Street.
Probably have to wait.
Omar Vizquel.
Again, we'll probably have to wait a few years.
And Billy Wagner.
Again, we'll have to wait a few years.
Okay, just a couple other names to pass along. John Lackey, Jared Weaver, Jason Worth, J.J. Hardy, Andre Ethier, Jacoby Ellsbury, R.A. Dickey, Matt Cain, and Bronson Arroyo, that they fill out the 2023 Baseball Hall of Fame ballot.
Yeah, so you would think. Yeah, I know. Houghton should be in, and Lake Sheffield should be in by next year, I think.
All right, you're listening to Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago. I'm Sid. That's Lakeena. Lakeena, where do you want to go next? I'll leave it up to you since you have a couple minutes left.
We can do Marian Hossa.
Okay. Marian Hossa on Sunday, which was yesterday, for those of you listening back on the replay on podcast at War on Anchor, he had his jersey number 81 retired by the Chicago Blackhawks. The Blackhawks, of course, they lose the game to the Pittsburgh Penguins 5-3. Evgeny Malkin played in his 1,000th game in the Penguins uniform yesterday, scored a goal. Sidney Crosby, my namesake, he scored the go-ahead goal for the Penguins. Of course, leave the door open for the road team. Of course, Patrick Kane scored in vintage fashion. But before the game, Lakeena, I watched the whole ceremony live. Unfortunately, I couldn't be there, but it was a beautiful ceremony. Eddie Olczyk, who's now doing the games for the Seattle Kraken and nationally for TNT. He was the MC last night. He got a huge ovation a local guy, obviously, from the Great Faithful at the UC. Of course, Marian Hossa did his speech. His whole family was there. The Blackhawks front office was there. The 6 teammates that was with them through the 3 Stanley Cups were there. Duncan Keith, Brent Seabrook, Nicholas Johnson was there, just to name a few. And Marian Hossa gave a great speech about never giving up on your dreams, being a Hall of Fame person. He thanked his family looked great. And of course, they had the jersey ceremony where his number was lifted up to the Raptors at the UC. It was very well put last night.
Yeah, it was really nice that the Hawks, let Eddie O come back, to be the MC. That was a really nice gesture there by them. Of course, after everything that happened, with him, being gone from the organization. So I think that's why he got the standing ovation. So that kind of should help them PR wise, especially after everything that's been going on there now. He actually talked about his previous stops, with Ottawa, then Atlanta Thrashers, the Penguins, of course, won a cup with the Red Wings, but he said it was here that he found home. I mean, his middle daughter was born here, and you saw his wife, and his mom was very emotional as well.
Yeah.
So that was a really sweet moment. He thanked all his coaches and his national coaches and such. It was great to see the other guys, some of those guys there, John Merson and Siebes, and of course, Sharpie as well. So that was a really cool moment all around. It was very well done by the Hawks. It was a very, very nicely done ceremony. If you guys, I'm sure it's on
It's
YouTube.
on the YouTube page of the Blackhawks.
Yeah, it's on the YouTube page.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you missed it, it was a great ceremony. So it was really, really, really cool.
Yeah, so congratulations once again to Marian Hossa for having number 81 retired by the Chicago Blackhawks, and the Hockey Hall of Fame from Toronto should be calling his name very soon.
Oh, absolutely. He should be first ballot for sure.
Yes. And perhaps he's the greatest free agent signing in Chicago sports history. I know people want to bring up Dennis Rodman for the Bulls. Remember, he was traded for Will Perdue. So that was not a free agent signing. I know they signed Ben Wallace back in the day, but as we all know, he was on the back end of his career and that went bad. Of course, the other great Chicago free agent signing you could talk about is John Lester, who helped the 2016 Cubs win the World Series.
Yeah, but it's definitely but I think Hossa is definitely up there with the best ever. So
yes.
All right, Sid. So all right. So let's this week for Old School TV Monday.
Let's go to New York City and hang out with The Nanny. That's right, Fran Drescher and crew. The Nanny was an American television sitcom that originally aired on CBS from November 3rd of 1993 to June 23rd of 1999, starring Fran Drescher as Fran Fine, a Jewish fashionista from Flushing, Queens, New York, who becomes the nanny of 3 children from the New York British High Society. The show is created and produced by Drescher and her then husband, Peter Mark Jacobson, taking much of his inspiration from Drescher's personal life growing up in Queens, involving names and characteristics based on her relatives and friends. The show earned a Rosie DOR and 1 Emmy Award out of a total of 12 nominations. Drescher was twice nominated for a Golden Globe and an Emmy. The sitcom has also spawned several foreign adaptations, loosely inspired by the original scripts. And the original plot went like this. The Jewish American Fran Fine turns up on the doorstep of a British Broadway producer, Max Sheffield, which was played by Charles Shaughnessy, to sell cosmetics after having been dumped and subsequently fired by her bridal shop owner boyfriend Maxwell. Reluctantly hires her to be the nanny of his 3 children, Maggie, Brighton, and Grace. In spite of Mrs. Sheffield's misgivings, Fran turns out to be just what he and his family needed. And while Fran Fine manages the 3 children, Butler Niles, played by Daniel Davis, manages the household and watches all the events that unfold with Fran and the new nanny. Niles, recognizing that Fran's gift for bringing warmth back to the family, as Maxwell is a widower, does his best to undermine Maxwell's business partner, Cece Babcock, played by Miss Lauren Fine, who has her eyes on a very available Maxwell Sheffield. Niles is often seen making witty comments directed towards Cece, with Cece often replying with a comment of her own in her own ongoing name of one-upsmanship. As the series progressed, we know the families came together, adapted with their personalities, and with they had the changing in scripts with the new kids and twins being involved, and was shaped up to be the series finale with a friend having twins and the families having their own identities and moving on with their lives. Lakeena, how much did you enjoy this show? If you watched this show at all?
Oh, I love watching the show. I still watch the repeats,
Okay.
in various places. I know HBO Max, I know they have the repeats as
Yes,
well.
them and
So
Pluto as well.
yeah, and on Pluto TV too. I think they just started airing those, I think, recently. I'm talking about Pluto TV. So
Mhm.
yeah, you can watch the show in various places. But yeah, it was like a really great show because the concept, it was kind of like a variation of other concepts that have been going on. Of course, you got the woman coming in with a widowed, father and such,
Mhm.
bringing some upliftingness to their lives, but with a little bit of a more modern twist at the time. It was like, she got, she was like, for Fashion Queens, working out and was crushing scenes. I can't sing any more of that theme song, but
Look it up yourself,
pay the
folks.
world yeah, I was like, yeah, it's out there, but yeah, it was sort of like, because they're kind of like, they're sort of like blah, blah, talking about the Sheffields, Charles Chauncey, of course, folks remember Days of Our Lives, of course, Shane Donovan, that's my Shane Donovan, going to the sitcom realm. And of course, Fran Drescher, who had been around for a while at that point. She's been on various TV shows. I know she was on a couple other shows on CBS. She already had a development deal. She and her husband had a development deal with CBS. So that's how they got the concept of this show. It was it was a hit show for a few years, and of course, Fran and Mr. Sheffield, eventually got together. Of course, they had to. It's been 5 years. Of course, various relationships, that Fran had, and some relationships that Maxwell had. Her, Cece and Niles were just a hoot. Dale Davis and Lauren Lane, they played that beautifully. They had both had their various one-liners and what husbandship, if you will. So that was just it was just hilarious. The kids are trying to be really good. I know Madeline Steam. I know who played Grace. I know she's still acting. I know Nicole Tom is still acting as well. So
I think her and her sister Heather Tom are both from Chicago. I think you'll know this because you're a soap opera fan. So
your brother
shout out to
David
them,
too.
local greats, making great in the entertainment world.
They did their brother David as well, all of one Emmy. So a very talented family there. But yeah, I mean, this is one of those shows where very underrated, but I think it has a great cult phenomenon. Cult hit. I think they had no, go ahead. Sorry.
Okay, just a few celebrity guest stars on the show: Pamela Anderson, Robert Culp, Rita Romano, Robert Urich, Wallace Shawn, Joe Van Ark, Robert Vaughn, and Elizabeth Taylor.
Yep.
And media personalities like Jay Leno, David Letterman, Sally Jesse Raphael, Donald Trump, and musicians Ray Charles, Patti LaBelle, Lisa Loeb, and Celine Dion, to name a few.
Yeah, Harry Hamlin, of course, who played a love interest of Fran's. Ray Charles actually played her grandfather-in-law. How that works? I know her step grandfather. I guess that's how it works here because he was married to her.
Yeah,
her grandma. Yeah, you learn a lot about Jewish customs. Watching The Nanny. So if you're not, if you didn't know about Jewish customs, you watched it. Watched The Nanny. Of course, they converted to Judaism. Not necessarily like they were but sort of like adding on to it when Fran adopted them. It was actually it was probably actually supposed to last longer than the 7 years it was on, but the ratings had kind of gone down by then after that last season. After of course Fran and Maxwell got married, so the show didn't air for like 3 months. So I was actually able to watch those last episodes actually didn't air till June.
Yeah.
So, like those first few weeks in June. That's why I was able to actually watch the ending of it. And it ended okay. I mean, of course, you had to have your friend have your kids because that's what she wanted. Maggie got married. I think Brian ended up going to college. Gracie was just starting high school, and Max and Cece got together. And they were expecting the baby of their own. I know they did a reunion. I think a few years back with all the original cast members coming back. Lane Kazan, who played Fran's aunt, she had a recording role on the show. She was a hoot. So Broadway legend and Tony Award winner. But they had pretty much if you were anybody that were on that show, Coolio played Ray Charles' nephew on
That's
that
right.
show
Yeah.
as well.
So rest in peace is what I'm talking about, Coolio. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think it was basically Whoopi Goldberg. I think you mentioned that too. Whoopi Goldberg was on there too. So yeah. Anybody at the time wanted to be on that show, so that's how popular that show was. Even though it really wasn't treated as such on CBS, but it was definitely a cult hit.
Yeah, I believe it was on Mondays, right? I believe it was on Mondays.
Yep.
Yeah, so so Mondays it could be a tough day for sitcoms, but it held its own. My late mother watched it way more than I did. I started watching some episodes when it became available on reruns here in Chicago. I believe it was on the Power Station. If I'm not mistaken. Back then, it's not My 50 Chicago now, but it was on the Power Station WPWR back then, back in those days. So I started catching up on those, and so. Yeah, it was a very good, funny show. I'm not gonna say it was like the Brady Bunch meets Step by Step thing, but Fran was like the mother to those three kids, and they really was drawn to her more than the actual parents.
Yeah, so exactly. But yeah, so she was that mother that they really desperately needed, especially for the oldest daughter Maggie, because she really needed that kind of that guys, getting out of her shell, and such. Gracie was having various issues for those first couple of seasons. So she definitely helped her. Brighton was just, he kind of tamed, the craziest a little bit there too. So yeah, he was definitely she was definitely what the doctor ordered for that family. Of course, her and Niles had, very, quick-witted, takes and such. So yeah, everybody had a contribution to that show. So like I said, I really feel like it doesn't get its due. But yeah, the reruns are very popular. Like I said, you watch the reruns on various stations. And also too, it's on HBO Max, it's on Pluto TV. So you can watch pretty much anywhere now.
So for this Thanksgiving holiday weekend, we salute the 90s CBS TV sitcom The Nanny.
All right, with that said, you can follow me at Keena McGee on the Twitter, and Keena's going to be on the IG.
You can follow yours truly, Cindy Brown, on the Twitter and the IG at CK80. Once again, at CK80, that's SIDKID80, SIDKID80. Make sure you download the Sports Zone Chicago app, wherever you get your apps, especially for this long Thanksgiving holiday weekend coming up, since we won't be here on Friday. Make sure you follow Sports Zone Chicago on all social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to our podcast at War on Anchor. We're available on all podcast platforms, including the iHeartRadio app. So if you happen to miss any episodes or you like this episode, just like today's show, you can go back and listen to them at your own leisure. And give War Media a follow at WARR Media on all socials on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. And thank you very much in advance for your support.
Like, share, subscribe, and tell your friends.
Before we go, we'd like to give shouts out to our bosses, Sean Sierra and Miss Maya Akai. They held it down yesterday, Sunday, for those users listening back on our replay on our War on Anchor. They had that event on the near north side where Sean and not just Sean and Maya were there, but What's Up Cuz show was there. Watching the Bears and Falcons. Also, you had the Smoke Fellas. They were there yesterday. Our own Kyle Means was there yesterday showing support. Lakeena. I know both of us, unfortunately, we couldn't make it, but Sean Sierra talked about it on the show earlier today. Sean and Maya in the morning, so go back and listen to it if you missed it. But her and I saw some of the pictures. It was a great event. Everybody was having a good time. Despite the Bears losing, it was a great event from what I've heard. And I caught some of the replay of their pregame show, the halftime show, and the postgame show. Go to Sports Zone Chicago. It's still available, so make sure you guys catch that, even though the game was already been played. But they did a great job, and it looks like from what Sean said this morning, it's going to be another event, so stay tuned for that. And he'll give you more details coming up in the coming days and weeks. And so I'd like to give a shout out to our bosses at Sports Zone Chicago. It was a great event yesterday.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like I said, drink responsibly, folks, for all that. Got all the great sports coming up, this week. Of course, you got the NFL. Of course, we'll have our picks posted on our social media, on our Twitter account. So don't worry about that. Excuse me. And also too, of course, NBA. Of course, you got NFL. Some great matches coming up in NFL. Week 12. We're already at week 12, Sid. Also, college football. They're starting. They're finishing up their season. So regular season, let's just say a lot. Like you said, a lot to be decided in one of those conference championship Saturday matchups that's coming up in a couple of weeks. Also, you have the World Cup starting. Right now, the U.S. is up 1-0 on Wales. They're in halftime right now. So if you want,
I know we got to get up out here so you can catch the rest of that game.
Yeah, well, okay, well, we'll slow it down. They're like I said, their halftimes. The halftimes are longer than the World Cup, so we can finish up here. We don't have to rush, but so some of the various matches on the Fox networks, the big Fox at FS1, FS2. So also you can stream all the matches in Spanish on Peacock. So if you guys want to listen to it in Spanish, you can watch it. You listen to it on streaming on the Peacock app. So many games going on this week with the Thanksgiving. Also college hoops, some tournaments are going on right now as we speak in Maui. They're playing in Maui right now as we speak. So, some other ranked tournaments. I think they're going to be playing in Puerto Rico as well for
Bahamas
the Thanksgiving
too.
Day. Yeah. So, so a little bit showing some sunshine. There's some great matchups too. So you make sure you guys check that out as well. So,
Yeah,
we won't be around, but it's fine.
Yeah. It's just since we won't be here on Friday. Real quick, the NFL Thursday schedule for Thanksgiving, 11:30 a.m. This all Central Standard Time starts. 11:30 a.m. on CBS. We have Buffalo at Detroit. 3:30 on Fox. We have the New York Giants at the Dallas Cowboys, followed by New England and Minnesota at 7 o'clock on NBC. So that's your Thursday Thanksgiving schedule in the NFL.
A couple of really good ones. I think all three of us should be really good. We'll see how Minnesota bounces back after being shellacked at home by Dallas. We'll see Dallas and the Giants. That should be a fun one in the NFC East.
And
I
think that'll be the game of the day.
Yeah, Buffalo, Detroit. I mean, Detroit. I know they've been one of the last couple of games in a row, but Buffalo, they're a little comfortable there. So we'll see how they respond after cut off a short week. So should be some good ones there on Thanksgiving.
All right, Lakeena, take us home.
All right, happy Thanksgiving to all of you. We're thankful for all of you guys for watching, listening to us.
We love you all.
You love all you guys. So so make sure you guys check us out. Also, don't forget we're also on Roku TV. Make sure you got the Roku TV app, or if you got a Roku TV remote, as you see there, go to search in the box, type in Sports Zone Chicago. It's all right there. All of our shows. Sean and Maya. What's up, cuz? I know they got a good show coming up tonight. The Smoke Fellas, and I know there are a couple other shows that might launch too. Next year too. So you guys want to check those shows out as well. But yeah, you can check us all out. anytime you want, right there.
Yep. So celebrate with the squad and get with the program. Sports Zone Chicago is available now on Roku TV, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. So you missed any episodes right now with this long week of Thanksgiving weekend, check out all of our past shows and check out our current shows as well.
Yeah, you catch up on all episodes. So it's right there. We interviewed some great people these last few weeks. So, we're always happy to see that. So for Sid, I'm Lakeena. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Wash your hands. You're not going to get vaccinated. Make sure you wear your mask because the numbers are starting to creep up again, folks. So be careful. And also, too, like I said, be safe out there and don't overindulge this Thanksgiving. I know it's a little hard, but
behave yourselves on Black Friday. Whoever's doing that stupid holiday shopping, but I digress.
Stop that. Yeah, stop that. So enjoy the games, everybody. We'll see you guys. This has been Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago, and we'll see you next Monday.
Happy Thanksgiving. Holla.